Before today's story begins, imagine being a little girl who has already lost her mother, and the only woman who could change her life is being sent away forever. What happened next touched an entire town and changed one lonely cowboy's heart forever. If you enjoy emotional Old West stories filled with family, hope, and second chances, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Now, grab a seat, relax, and let's get started. Montana Territory, 1886. The morning sun stretched across the endless prairie, painting the rolling hills in shades of gold, but the Walker Ranch remained strangely quiet. Ethan Walker had once been known as the happiest cowboy in the valley. His wife, Sarah, had filled their small cabin with laughter until a deadly winter fever claimed her life 3 years earlier. Since then, Ethan had buried himself in hard work, believing that endless hours on horseback could silence the loneliness in his heart. His greatest reason for living was his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Every morning she waited on the porch with a bright smile, waving as her father rode out to check the cattle. Though Ethan loved her more than anything, he struggled to give her the warmth that only a mother could provide. The little girl often sat by the fireplace holding her mother's faded quilt, quietly wishing she could remember the sound of Sarah's voice. The townsfolk watched the lonely cowboy with concern. At church gatherings and cattle auctions, they gently encouraged him to remarry. Ethan always refused. "No woman deserves a husband whose heart is still buried beside another," he would say. One afternoon, the town's elderly pastor handed Ethan a letter from a respected mail-order marriage agency in St. Louis. "Not every second chance is meant to replace the first," the pastor said kindly. "Sometimes God sends someone to help heal what's been broken." After weeks of prayer and hesitation, Ethan finally wrote back. Nearly a month later, a stagecoach rolled into the small Montana town carrying a young woman named Abigail Carter. She stepped down wearing a simple blue dress, a worn bonnet, and carrying one weathered suitcase. Her gentle smile reflected both courage and uncertainty. She had traveled hundreds of miles hoping to build a family instead of merely finding a husband. When Ethan saw her standing outside the station, guilt filled his heart. The closer he came, the more certain he became that he had made a terrible mistake. "I'm Ethan Walker," he said quietly. Abigail smiled warmly. "It's a pleasure to finally meet you." Ethan lowered his eyes before speaking again. "I owe you an apology. I thought I was ready to begin again, but I was wrong. My ranch is no place for another heart to be disappointed. I'll arrange for your ticket back east tomorrow morning." Abigail stood silently, hiding the pain in her eyes. She simply nodded with quiet dignity, unaware that inside the nearby wagon, little Lily had heard every heartbreaking word. Abigail spent the evening quietly preparing supper, even though she believed she would be leaving the next morning. She baked fresh bread, stirred a pot of hearty beef stew, and carefully repaired a tear in Lily's favorite shawl. She asked for nothing in return. Her kindness came as naturally as breathing. After dinner, Ethan stepped outside to feed the horses, leaving Abigail to wash the dishes. Little Lily slowly walked into the kitchen, her eyes filled with sadness. She looked up at Abigail and asked softly, "Are you leaving because of me?" Abigail knelt beside the little girl and gently brushed a strand of hair from her face. "Oh, sweetheart, none of this is your fault. Your father is a good man. His heart is still carrying a great deal of pain." Tears filled Lily's eyes. She wrapped her small arms around Abigail's waist and whispered, "Please don't go. I don't remember my mama anymore, and I need one." Those simple words reached Ethan, who had returned to the porch just in time to hear them. He stood frozen in the doorway, his heart breaking as he watched his daughter cry in the arms of a woman she had only just met. The next morning, Ethan hitched the wagon to take Abigail back to town. Before climbing aboard, she thanked him for his honesty and wished him and Lily a peaceful life. As the horses prepared to move, Lily came running across the yard. "No," she cried. "Please stay." Ethan looked at his daughter, then at Abigail. For the first time in years, he realized he had been protecting himself so fiercely that he had forgotten what Lily truly needed. He took a slow breath and removed his hat. "If you're willing," he said quietly, "would you stay for 1 month? Not as my wife. Not yet. Just help us around the ranch. If after that you still wish to leave, I'll personally take you wherever you want to go." A gentle smile appeared on Abigail's face. "I'd like that," she replied. Over the following weeks, the ranch slowly changed. Abigail filled the cabin with warmth, laughter, and fresh-baked bread. Lily smiled more than she had in years, and Ethan found himself laughing again without even realizing it. When autumn arrived, Ethan stood beside Abigail beneath the wide Montana sky and finally admitted, "You never replaced Sarah. You helped us heal." Months later, in the little white church overlooking the valley, Ethan and Abigail exchanged their wedding vows. As the congregation applauded, Lily held both of their hands and whispered with a joyful smile, "Now I finally have a mother, and we have a family again."